Welcome to my Bivariate presentation titled Explaining Brazil's High Environmental Concern. The goal of this research is to investigate potential reasons why the people of Brazil are so concerned about climate change, as can be seen through the initiatives employed to reduce greenhouse gases to meet their Kyoto commitment of a 36% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions by 2020. Trying to allocate reasons for the people's environmental concern, the research question for this analysis is: to what extent can education, climate change knowledge, and political interest explain the perceptions of high concern about climate change that appear to exist in Brazil? The dataset used for this investigation is the Latino Barometer 2007, in which the country Brazil was specifically chosen, leaving an end value of 1,204. The statistical test that will be used for this analysis will be a reliability analysis, cross-tabulations, chi-square, ANOVA, tau-B, and tau-C. The dependent variable in this study is the level of concern about climate change. The items included in the index are levels at which climate change can have an effect, such as on the country, the individual, the economy, and society. The index contains 1,204 cases and embodies 4 indicators with an alpha score of 0.7112. Because Cronbach's alpha exceeds the value of 0.6, we can conclude that the questions are related enough to form an index. The items in the index are scored in a manner that suggests that the lower the value, the higher the concern about climate change, as can be seen in the frequency distribution in Table 2. The independent variables chosen for this analysis are level of education, amount of knowledge of climate change, and political interest. According to international studies, the level of education that an individual reaches determine how concerned they are about climate change. The hypothesis for this variable is thus: the higher the level of education that an individual achieves, the higher their concern about climate change. The second hypothesis is based on Ruben Born and Mark Ruth's argument that climate change knowledge positively affects higher levels of concern about climate change. The third hypothesis is based on McWright's paper on the social basis of climate change knowledge, concerns, and public support that political ideology is an important factor in willingness and understanding of climate change. Thus, the hypothesis is: the higher the political interest, the higher the concern about climate change. The first independent variable used for the analysis is the level of education. Chi-square produces a p-value of 0.00001, providing the null hypothesis to be false, as a relationship does exist between the two variables. Tau-C suggests that there is a weak positive relationship between the two variables, meaning that as level of education increases, so does concern about climate change, but only at a minimal scale. As for the analysis of variance, or ANOVA, the F value is 0.0000, meaning that there is less than 1 in 10,000 chance that the observed mean differences in education are due simply to sampling error. The Sheffe test, although together indicates that the 3 levels of education do not differ very significantly among themselves. There is a significant difference between post-secondary and primary means, however, which is plausible as the level of knowledge acquired in both differs greatly. The second independent variable is the amount of environmental knowledge that an individual has. Chi-square produces the significant p-value of 0.000, indicating that a significant relationship does in fact exist. Tau-B supports this finding as the value with a value of 0.27319 is desirable and gives a moderately strong positive relationship, meaning that as environmental knowledge increases, so does the concern about climate change in Brazil, as can be seen by the slight diagonal nature of the table. The third independent variable is political interest. The p-value of 0.001 indicates that the null hypothesis must be rejected, as a significant relationship does exist. Tau-B, however, shows that the level of association is very weak. This can also be seen in the table, as the variation does not differ greatly on the horizontal scale. The results of the analysis show that the hypotheses are correct in that there was positive correlation between the variables. The relationship between them was, however, not very strong. With the exception of climate change knowledge, which has a strong level of association and was highly significant, as can be seen in the table, the 3 independent variables, climate change knowledge, was the strongest in explaining why people are concerned about climate change in Brazil. In conclusion, the climate change knowledge can best explain the reason why there is high concern about climate change in Brazil. For further investigation, more research could be done on the impact the government has on civilian lifestyle and the perceptions that people hold of their government that might give more insight into the ideas that the government is spreading and how the people react to it that might overall explain the level of concern about climate change. Thank you.